Right now, your brain is holding back. That is not a motivational metaphor. That is a biological fact. And the moment you understand why, everything you think you know about human potential starts to unravel. You have probably heard it before. The claim that you only use 10% of your brain. It shows up in movies, in self-help books, in conversations at dinner tables. The implication is always the same. Somewhere inside your skull, 90% of your power is sitting unused, locked behind a door you just have not found the key to yet. What if you could open it? What if the full 100% was suddenly available to you? The real answer is far stranger than the fantasy, because the truth is not that you are using 10% of your brain. The truth is that your brain is already running at close to full capacity almost every waking moment of your life. And the reason it feels like it is not, the reason it feels sluggish and foggy and limited, has nothing to do with how much of it is active. It has everything to do with what it is spending all that power on. Neuroscientist David Eagleman at Stanford has spent years studying the unconscious brain, the part that runs beneath your awareness. His research, along with decades of imaging data, reveals something that most people never consider. The vast majority of your brain's activity has nothing to do with thinking. It is managing your heartbeat. It is regulating your body temperature. It is scanning your environment for threats you never consciously register. It is predicting, filtering, editing, suppressing. Your conscious mind, the part that reads these words and forms opinions and makes decisions, is just the surface. A thin, flickering layer of awareness sitting on top of an ocean of automated processing. So what would happen if all of that changed? Imagine the filters came off. Imagine every signal your brain suppresses, every sensation it dims, every piece of raw sensory data it quietly discards before it reaches your conscious awareness, suddenly came flooding through. This is not science fiction. Researchers have studied people whose filtering mechanisms are disrupted. The results are not superhuman, they are overwhelming. Neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran at UC San Diego has documented cases of individuals with damage to the brain's inhibitory systems. These are the systems that decide what you do not need to know about. When they break down, the brain does not become more powerful. It becomes unable to function. Simple tasks become impossible. A conversation in a noisy room turns into an assault of unbearable input. The brain cannot decide what matters because everything matters equally. There is no signal, only noise. Your brain's greatest trick is not its power, it is its ability to ignore. Every second, your senses are capturing roughly 11 million bits of information. Your eyes, your ears, your skin, your internal organs, all of it sending signals at once. Your conscious mind processes around 50 bits per second. 50 out of 11 million. The rest is handled, sorted, and mostly discarded before you ever know it existed. That is not a flaw. That is the entire design. So picture yourself at 100%. Every one of those 11 million bits arriving at once, fully conscious, fully felt. The pressure of your clothes on your skin, the sound of blood moving through your ears, the micro movements of the floor beneath your feet, the hum of every electrical device in the building. Every face in your peripheral vision processed and analyzed simultaneously. Every memory, every association, every emotional echo triggered by every input at once. You would not feel superhuman. You would not be able to move. But the fantasy persists. And it persists because it is built on something real, just misunderstood. There is genuine scientific evidence that human cognitive performance can improve. Significantly. Just not by turning everything on, by changing what you are using your brain for. Consider the work of psychologist Anders Ericsson at Florida State University. His research on expert performance, later popularized as the 10,000 hours concept, revealed something precise and unsentimental. The people who perform at the highest levels of human ability, chess grandmasters, concert pianists, elite surgeons, are not using more of their brain than you. They have restructured how their brain works. Patterns that once required enormous conscious effort have been compressed into efficient, automatic routines stored in procedural memory. Their conscious mind is freed up, not because more of their brain is active, but because the same brain has become dramatically more efficient. This is the real version of running at 100%. Not expansion, reorganization. Think about the first time you learned to drive. Every action required conscious effort. Checking mirrors, timing the clutch, judging distances, reading signs, all of it happening at once and all of it demanding your full attention. Now think about the last long drive you took where you arrived at your destination and could barely remember the journey. Your brain had compressed the driving into automation, freeing your conscious processing for other things. You were not using more of your brain, you were using it better. There is another angle to this that almost nobody talks about. Your brain does not just filter sensory input, it filters memory, it filters emotion, it filters the full weight of your own life. Psychiatrist Bessel von der Kolk, whose research on trauma is documented in his work at Boston University, has shown that people who experience certain kinds of psychological trauma often lose the brain's ability to suppress the past. Memories intrude. Emotional states replay. The brain cannot distinguish between what is happening now and what happened years ago. The full weight of every relevant experience arrives simultaneously, unfiltered, undimmed. This is not a superpower. This is one of the most debilitating conditions a human being can experience. Your brain's ability to suppress the past is not a weakness. It is what allows you to be here, in this moment, functioning. So here's what you are actually left with. The 100% brain is not a locked room you have never found. It is the ocean you are already swimming in. The version of you sitting here right now is the result of billions of years of evolutionary pressure that produced the most energy-efficient, threat-responsive, socially aware, pattern-recognizing information processor ever to exist on this planet. And its genius is precisely in what it chooses not to do. The question was never whether you could use more of your brain. The question is whether you are using the part you have access to with any real intention. Because here is the quiet, uncomfortable truth that the fantasy conveniently skips over. Most of the cognitive capacity you do have conscious access to is spent in loops, replaying conversations, rehearsing arguments that will never happen, worrying about futures that will never arrive, scrolling, comparing, judging. The 90% you are supposedly not using is not sitting idle. The processing power you wish you had more of is already accounted for. It is just spent somewhere you would not choose if you stopped to think about it. The brain running at 100% in the movie unlocks telekinesis and perfect memory and instantaneous calculation. The brain running at 100% in reality is the one that stops feeding itself noise and starts directing its limited conscious bandwidth towards something that compounds. A skill built slowly. A problem examined carefully. A relationship given full attention without a screen in hand. Eagleman describes consciousness as the user interface, not the machine. The machine is always running. What you control is only the tiny window through which you interact with it. And that window, narrow as it is the whole of your agency, the whole of your life. Right now, your brain is holding back. Not because it is broken or because some hidden switch has never been flipped. Because holding back, filtering, suppressing, ignoring, that is the thing that makes you functional, present, and human. The real question is not how to turn it all on. The real question is what you are choosing to do with the 50 bits per second you actually have.